When you were 12 years old, you were still asking your mommy for ice cream. When Paul Morphy was 12 years old, he was taking grown men, professional chess players, bending them over and spanking their cheeks. Eugene Rousseau was one of the best chess players in the world at the time. He was well known in European circles for being one of the best chess players in the world at the time, and holding up with the likes of Johann Lowenthal and Adolf Anderssen. But when he came to play the 12-year-old Morphy, this is what happened. Now, Morphy was well known for making his opponents underestimate him due to his young age. But when he would face them on the chessboard, he would come along to their king and mate his opponent. This game was no different. For when Paul Morphy played Rousseau, he started off with a bang. E4, E5, F4 the king's gambit, E takes F4, the king's gambit accepted. Morphy plays knight F3 and we see G5 from Rousseau, which is the best response according to the computer. After the move H4, a ridiculous move by the young Morphy, which the computer doesn't like, but opens all sorts of possibilities for white. You see, in these days, people just played as romantically as they could. How many pieces could we sacrifice? How many lines could we open? And how many pieces could we lose to find a checkmate? And Morphy was the leading voice for this. After the move G4, Morphy jumps his knight onto the G5 square, inviting the move H6, trapping the knight. Morphy doesn't hesitate to make the game as interesting as possible, taking the pawn on F7 immediately with a knight. After king takes, the computer wants Morphy to play the move bishop to C4, immediately checking the king and developing the bishop, opening up the king to castle. However, he does play the next best move, which is queen takes on G4. Now, modern computers will show that black holds a hefty advantage in this position. But there's two problems that black has. First off, none of his pieces are developed in the back rank. Not a single one. Second, his king is out in the middle of the open, and white's pieces are ready to get activated and get into the game. Now, Rousseau here really should play the move knight to F3, attacking the queen and also developing a piece at the same time. But instead, he plays the move queen to F3, allowing the bishop to attack the king, which is why Thomas Becket was murdered, by the way. Rousseau is forced to move his king, which allows Paul Morphy to jump his knight to C3, threatening to fork both the king and the queen. However, black's king and queen are a traditional couple, and they do not want to allow a big horse to fork them. So Rousseau plays the move C6. Now, Morphy's next move seems to be unreasonable, but coming from the mind of a 12-year-old, it's actually quite brilliant. Instead of castling the king and then, playing D4 and developing naturally, Morphy plays the strange move E5, allowing the queen to take the pawn, and playing the move king to D1, threatening to pin the queen to the king. Now, it's not all good for Morphy, because actually after the move knight F6 attacking the queen, it's completely fine for black. Now, Rousseau has to find this move. He has to find this move, knight to F6, attacking the queen, allowing the rook in. It's completely fine. But instead, he gets spooked. And instead, he plays the move king to D8, which is still fine for black. Still winning after Morphy attacks the queen. Once again, Rousseau needs to find the move knight to F6, attacking the queen, allowing the rook to take, but getting the knight in and developing his pieces. This is a big problem for Rousseau. Even the move D6 is completely fine. If Rousseau plays D6, you can't take the queen because then I take with a check and then I take the rook next move. So Rousseau just has to be patient He can counterattack, in the words of Gotham Chess. Danger levels. Rousseau, unfortunately for him, gives up all of his advantage. He doesn't play queen to g7, he doesn't play d6, he doesn't play knight to f6. Instead, he plays the move queen to c5. Now, a lot of people argue about who is better, Michael Jordan, or LeBron James, or Jerry West. I mean, nobody really argues for Jerry West, but I think you get what I'm saying. The argument is always made that Jordan played against scrubs, whereas LeBron played against some of the best players to ever play the game. The same thing might be said here about Paul Morphy, and the fact that Rousseau was one of the best chess players in the world at that time, because he just completely hangs a knight. Just completely hangs a knight for no reason. No reason at all. Now, amazingly enough, this is still somehow salvageable for black if he just plays the move d6. Just plays the move d6. We can have queen to g6. You know, it looks really dangerous, but you can actually just play king to c7, and it's a complete draw. Rousseau doesn't do that. Because Rousseau was an idiot. On this next move, at least. He plays the move d5. Completely losing the game on the spot. He's completely lost. Now, some of you are thinking right now, what an idiot! d5? And you have no idea what's going on. You have no idea why d5 is actually a bad move. Well, let me show you. The reason why this is so bad for black is because of the brilliant move that Morphy plays next. And that would be rook to e8. It's so bad for white here because the king is forced to take. If the king goes up here, it's just very bad. So the king is forced to take the rook, and you might think, okay, so what? So it's a bishop for a rook. Wrong. The king is forced up here, and you think to yourself, what do? I don't know what to do. Let me check him with my queen, and completely lose the game because of king d8. And what do you do after this? You're lost. No, there's one move, and there's one move only that completely wins for white. And that's the brilliant, the fun, the intriguing, and the marvelous move, knight to d5 check. The king has nowhere to go except for here. But if he does go here, it's mate in one. The problem is, you can't take with the pawn or else I take your queen. And you can't take with the queen or else I take your queen. So what do? Well, when you're +7, you give up. And that's exactly what Rousseau did, allowing Morphy to give the classic mate in one. Morphy was 12 years old when he clapped this grown man's cheeks. What were you doing when you were 12 years old? Probably what you're doing now. Wasting a whole bunch of time watching YouTube. Why are you even watching my video right now? Honestly, go get a job. Go get a life. Do something with your life. Don't watch some random stranger on the internet talk about chess. You can probably learn more just by looking at this stuff yourself. Honestly, though, at the end of the day, if you enjoy watching chess videos, then you're probably somebody who doesn't have a girlfriend. Just like me. Anyways, thanks for watching the video.